Some battles decide borders, some decide power. But once in a lifetime, a battle changes the destiny of the entire world. In 1942, the world was already bleeding. Nazi Germany had crushed much of Europe under its iron boots. Cities had fallen, nations had surrendered. Millions now marched beneath Hitler's banner. And yet, despite all this conquest, one final enemy still stood in his way, the Soviet Union. Hitler did not only want victory, he wanted domination. He wanted to break the Soviet spirit forever. And directly in the path of his ambition stood one city, a city that carried the name of his greatest enemy, Stalingrad. In August 1942, the sky over Stalingrad turned black. German bombers roared overhead like metallic storms. Fire fell from the heavens. Streets disappeared in explosions. Homes collapsed in seconds. Mothers ran with children in their arms as the ground itself split open beneath their feet. Within weeks, tens of thousands were dead. By the time the smoke cleared, Stalingrad was no longer a city. It was rubble. But what Hitler believed to be destruction would become the very thing that stopped his empire. Because in those ruins, tanks could not charge. Air power could not dominate. Heavy weapons became useless. Now it was man against man, knife against rifle, breath against breath. The Germans gave this kind of warfare a name, Rattenkrieg, rat war, because soldiers did not advance in lines anymore. They crawled through shadows. They hunted in stairwells. They waited in darkness for footsteps that might never come. Every broken wall became an ambush. Every doorway became a grave. The Soviet command gave its soldiers a single order, one that echoed through the ruins like a death sentence. Not one step back. Factories turned into fortresses. Basements became battlefields. Staircases turned into slaughterhouses. A building captured in the morning was lost by afternoon and reclaimed again before nightfall. Snipers ruled the city like ghosts. One shot, one life. Windows became portals of death. Soldiers learned to walk by hugging walls and running only when the wind howled loud, enough to hide their footsteps. Then winter arrived, and winter showed no mercy. The temperature dropped to -30 degrees. Metal froze to bare skin. Flesh cracked. Blood turned to ice before it reached the ground. Wounded soldiers did not scream for long. They froze where they lay. German troops shivered in uniforms made for summer. Soviet soldiers wrapped themselves in rags and scraps. Both sides fought hunger before they fought each other. Some men went into battle without food for days. Some went in without bullets. Orders were simple. If you have no weapon, follow the man in front of you, and take his when he falls. Horses were eaten. Dogs disappeared. Rats became meals. Even leather belts were boiled into thin soup. In Stalingrad, the meaning of survival changed. Then in November 1942, the war changed. While all eyes were locked on the city's ruins, the Soviet Union struck where the Germans were weakest, not at the heart of Stalingrad, but at its sides. In a massive, perfectly planned assault known as Operation Uranus, Soviet forces smashed through German allies guarding the flanks. And within days, the trap was closed. 300,000 German soldiers, the entire Sixth Army, were surrounded inside Stalingrad. An entire army, sealed alive. German generals begged Hitler for permission to retreat. They warned him that the army would be destroyed. Hitler refused. He ordered them to stand and fight. He promised supplies would arrive by air. But the skies belonged to the Soviets now, and the winter belonged to death. The planes came barely, and what they brought was never enough. Inside the city, starvation began. Soldiers collapsed where they stood. Wounds went untreated. Disease spread through frozen bunkers and shattered basements. Men who had once marched proudly across Europe now shook in rags, whispering prayers to gods they had forgotten. By January 1943, the German Sixth Army was no longer an army. It was a dying shadow. Shells ran out. Bullets vanished. Radios went silent. Hope disappeared. Then on February 2nd, 1943, the guns stopped. For the first time since the war began, the unthinkable happened. A German field marshal surrendered. Friedrich Paulus laid down his weapons. More than 90,000 German soldiers stumbled out of the ruins into Soviet captivity. Only a few thousand would ever see their homeland again. In the frozen streets of Stalingrad, The myth of Nazi invincibility died. From that moment forward, Germany would never truly recover. The Soviet army began its relentless march west, city by city, army by army, all the way to Berlin. Stalingrad did not just stop Hitler, it reversed the entire direction of World War II. And in doing so, it reshaped the future of the world. Over 2 million people were killed, wounded, or captured in this single battle. Civilians vanished under rubble. Families were erased from history. An entire generation was swallowed by fire, steel, and ice. The city survived, but barely. Today, Stalingrad is known as Volgograd, and towering above the land stands a colossal statue. The motherland calls, a silent guardian carved from stone and memory. Its shadow stretches across the ground where millions once bled. A reminder that freedom has a price, and that the cost is often paid by ordinary people. Stalingrad teaches the world a brutal truth. That pride can destroy empires. That power without humanity brings only ruin. And that when survival becomes the only goal, even the most ordinary human beings can stand against unstoppable evil. This was not just a battle of soldiers, it was a battle of will, a battle of fear, a battle of survival itself. And in the frozen ruins of a shattered city, history changed direction.